welcome to the Jackal Racing Cup Series here at New Hampshire. I'm AJ Schlotterbeck. We got Taker and my very good friend Roger Roach here in the VC commentating with me today. It's going to be an exciting race. This was originally going to be Darlington, but we decided that New Hampshire is just a better track, which I can agree with. I am a professional Loudon simp, so I'm excited for this race. Let's just go right into it. Extreme Motorsports has so far been dominating this. They have been really dang good, especially at Daytona, where they basically boxed everyone else out. They held the lead the entire dang time, and they basically just ran the whole race for themselves and ran at the front. Whenever they weren't running at the front, they were getting together to run at the front. So at Vegas as well, just a quick recap, they didn't really have as many team practices for XMS, and Trainwreck ended up winning that race. They're going to be going green in 2 laps here, so we might as well get the New Hampshire preview in here. Taker, you got that over there?
I do. As we say, New Hampshire is a flat track, so therefore tires will come into play here. So be careful with your tires and the way you run the car. Now that the previous 2 races are out of the way, we're here at New Hampshire, where Extreme Motorsports will be fighting to keep the points lead from Poseidon Motorsports. But it is still early in the season, guys. Like, we're only, what, race 3?
Yeah, this is race 3,
here. Yeah. So, yeah, we're here race 3 of 15. So it's good to have that good points lead early on. That way you don't have to struggle late season trying to make up points or try to keep that little point lead ahead. So here matters right here today here at New Hampshire.
At the end of these long green flag runs as well, I did notice this while I ran in track in 30 laps. Your tires get really hot. When your tires get hot, you can risk blowing them. And the temperature at which you have, at where your temperatures are going to be running if you're just running safely, are actually really close to where you're going to start running into a potential to blow them. At around 205 is where, according to the notes I was given, where these tires are going to blow. And I believe that because the grip was already falling off there, and I think you could easily blow a tire once you get up towards 210, 220. And where you're running these tires at is around 200, about 20 laps into a run. So tires are definitely going to be a story today. Fuel as well. This can be a fuel mileage race. I think it certainly has a potential for that, depending on how the green flags shake out. So strategy is going to play a really big part in this race, and it might come down to just who makes the right calls at the right time.
Definitely. I know Jackal is definitely primarily, once they get a long green flag run, if that ever happens, all depends on how comfortable these guys get used to running with each other as the season goes on. But if we do get that option for a green flag run, fuel strategy definitely comes in. So you'll see the guys who aren't really fast just pass people or, win off a strategy because of fuel strategy. And there's some good people out there in the field today that definitely have it. I know Good Square is one of them. And wide receiver definitely can be somebody else who can save fuel as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at this field. I've seen Remy win fuel races before. I've seen Sleesher do it. So there are guys out here who definitely know how to manage a car, but there's also guys out here who might have to not manage a car because they're stuck in the back of the pack trying to make their way up to the front, That's certainly something. Like Blackstone Warden's all the way back in last, so he's going to have to do something to make up all that ground. Find some sort of equalizer, maybe don't take tires on one stop or do something like that to try and gain some ground on the racetrack, because it's going to be kind of hard to pass today. Loudon is not known for being a track where passing is necessarily easy. I think that was definitely true during the the practice session I was watching. It's kind of hard to get around people just because even on the outside, if you get stuck out there, you get to run off. As they come to the green flag here, it's going to be a 150-mile race.
Green.
Here we go. See, they're already going 3 wide in the middle.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah. And we've already got a
let's square all the way around. Turn by train wreck. We're still
looks like they went 3 wide there, and that's what happens when you do it on the first lap. Don't think there was any malicious intent there or anything, just all 3 of them came into the corner trying to go for the same piece of real estate. And that's really going to hurt Good Square.
So far we have Commander Remy trying to get the run, trying to get back up to Chris Paul, but as we have the 41 on the inside, looking to make the pass.
Also, apologies, that's 2K Blue actually running the Good Square car today, Southern.
Gotcha, 2K is running through Good Square.
And there's another car sideways, the 47. We're going to see a lot of that today. It's really easy to get sideways even on your own just by overdriving the corner. And while I was rooting laps down, I mean, if you just overcook it a little bit, the car slides and breaks traction. as we see another car go around the 20.
Especially, I mean, where it's a flat track, you got to watch that speed in the corners. If you try to get on the gas a little too early, you're going to, Loudon's a little loose of a track where it's flat. You got to have easy throttle control trying to get back onto that gas, otherwise you're going to lose it.
I mean, this track is very flat. I think it might be the flattest that the series goes to. Be between this and Martinsville. And when you got a track that flat, tires definitely come into play because flat tracks turning more, you're putting a lot of wear on the tires. And I mean, these tires are heating the heck up. As we see 2K Blue actually self-spin there. Got out of the dark patch as well. There's a bit more grip down there on the bottom, just from running the track. It seems like the racing line down there, black part of the pavement, is where you want to be for the most part. But you can definitely run outside of it. I mean, those guys making passes on the outside, actually. Baseball Freak's going to get around 2K Blue in the middle of the pack, and that actually is going to cause two cars to go spinning. That's not ideal.
They hold on to it, though.
Yeah, they held on. So Chris Bald Paul holds the lead right now. And do you think that right now this is a race where you want to be up at the front, or do you think you want to be back in that pack a little bit?
Well, the back of the pack is likely a little more dangerous than up front. You get clean air up front as well. The back, probably more likely to spin yourself out trying to catch up to everybody else.
And track position's certainly going to matter today, and that's, we were talking before the race. If you're stuck there at the back of the pack, you might have to make some sort of strategy call to try and use the equalizer to get you up in front of everyone. Whether that's short pitting, long pitting, getting tires, not getting tires, something like that. And you have to wonder, if there is a caution today, how much is that going to mess up the pit strategy? Because I do have a sheet here. I'll actually send this over to Taker as well real quick, so you can have that. But yeah, that's the strategy for one of the best teams, Extreme Motorsports. Now I don't know how much of them actually allowed to air out, but there is certainly a lot of strategy be game there. I mean, you can add between like 5 and 10 seconds to your position on track through pit strategy.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's going to definitely come down to fuel strategy or tire strategy, I feel. Because I feel like in a long green flag run, people are going to make different strategy calls that are definitely going to impact the race. So right now we're kind of in a holding pattern almost. Just kind of running down laps. And that's what happens on these Loudon races. It comes down to being a war of attrition almost, especially at 150 miles. That's pretty long for this platform. I mean, it's not a short race.
It's a pretty good race. Pretty spread out already. It's kind of shocking. Only 8 laps in.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's hard on a track like this to make up ground if you lose it, and it's so easy to lose it. You make a tiny mistake and 5 cars go shooting past you.
Yeah.
It's really easy to lose ground. It's so hard to make it back up. And when you are trying to make it back up, you risk blowing a tire, you risk overdriving the corner and spinning. There's a lot of things that can go wrong here at Loudon. So you definitely have to be very careful. And right now we see Remy and Chris Paul kind of just running away from the field. Remy's that Extreme Motorsports car. They have been so good this season. Dominating Daytona. A couple of their cars ran well at Las Vegas. I mean, it's been a really good season for them. And you have to say that one of their drivers would be the championship favorite, but you never know,
Yeah.
Because when you're on that good of a team, there's almost a negative effect on the individual driver.
Well, you've got a large following, and you got to make up for that by performing well.
Yeah, and when you're on a team like that, you have 4 really good drivers, and there's an issue with that in that you're competing against your teammates more often than you're competing against people who ain't you. And sometimes that can actually be a detrimental effect. And right now, if you look at the throttle application, I don't know if the stream does this or not, but I'm looking at the throttle application of Remy right now, and he is running way less throttle than Chris Paul. I mean, he is just running a lot less throttle. He's also trying to run that weird line we were talking about where he gets a bit out of the groove and then kind of cuts a diamond down towards the inside of the racetrack, gets that run off.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that line, but we were thinking that he couldn't run it in traffic. And right now he's got a bit of space, and that's why I think he's probably running it right now. But we're seeing a lot more throttle out of Chris Paul. Look at his throttle. He's just really gunning it a lot more in the corner. He doesn't seem to be too uncomfortable with the car. He seems to be really comfortable with what the car is doing.
Well, here's where we have conflicting driving styles. As you can see, Remy's later on the gas, but Crestball Paul's holding it, but they are still equal fuel. So if I were Remy right here, I still got a little bit of draft behind the 4. Try to save as much fuel as I can and try to beat him out from pit strategies. If we get to the green flag stops, go in before him, take a short pit, and then come out in front.
I feel like that's a good idea, but I do worry about tires if you do something like that, because near the end of a run, the tires get really bad. About halfway through the run, you're going to be really trying to wrestle the car around.
And you'll see these guys, they'll experiment with grooves. You'll see them go up the track trying to find any little bit of grip and speed as they can. Some will still be bottom feeders like Remy and Chris Bald Paul here. But as you can see, wherever the drivers feel comfortable, they'll try to, hit that line. I'm pretty sure, or I'm thinking, that they might experiment, try to go up more on the track. We got a car on the wall in the back.
Yeah.
Sleesher.
Yeah, Sleesher stuck up against the wall. No one hits him. I don't know what happened there. Must have just gotten into the wall and let everyone pass. And actually, you're talking about different groups. Baseball Freak's been running outside of Trainwreck for about 2 laps now. He finally gives up that spot. But the outside line, this is something that you experienced during the BRA race that I commentated here about a month ago. You can definitely run that outside line after the tires start wearing it. It's certainly something that works. In fact, near the end of that race, it actually somehow became the dominant line. I don't think we're going to see anything that extreme. We're never going to see the outside line be stronger than the inside. But you can certainly hold someone off out there. I don't know if you want to be passing out there. I think that's viable, but I certainly think you can hold people off on the outside just using the runoff. And we see Baseball Freak actually just did a really nice crossover. Wasn't able to get inside of Blackstone, though. But he's certainly setting up something there. As for fuel mileage, when do you guys think these people are going to be coming in?
Well, looking at how 15 laps already down about 600 fuel, I'd say in about 20 to 30 more laps.
Yeah, I'd say about 15, 20 more laps we'll see, drivers come in for full service, tires and fuel. Looking back at the stats now, Chris Bald Paul is saving a little bit more tires now that he has a little bit of a bigger lead against Remy, so you're going to watch him have a line to tires while Remy's going to be using that, dive it in, let the car settle up, and then try to get that run-off line. More of like I like to call it a slider line, trying to, try to find any type of speed that you can. But when he's dominant back down on the exit, he's just using a little bit more tire. And
see the front 3.
If you don't have the tire, you won't be able to. If you don't have tire, you won't be able to get speed. Sorry for interrupting. I probably had.
No, that's fine. I interrupted you, but you see the front 3. They have gotten really far ahead of everyone.
Yeah,
I think part of that was because Sleesher got into the wall and checked up the whole middle of the field. Everyone was trying to make sure they didn't slam into him. But these guys have really driven away. And do you think that might actually be a detriment at some point? Because these guys might get out on an island strategy-wise where they're all going to have to make a call and everyone else has a lot of time to react and try and make an undercut or over.
If I'm the leader, I would definitely not be worried about everybody else in the back of the pack, because by the time that they're trying to catch up, trying to make up for lost time, he can still gain, and his pitch strategy's his. He would need to be worried about second and third behind him because they are still in close proximity to where if they undercut, he's going to lose the spot. Mainly more of Remy here. I don't know if Joel's enough to get, maybe he can get behind him out of the pit stop and battle. But other than that, it's all up to Chris to get. If he wants to stay on the car, he can. Just now it's his strategy game. It's
yeah. So the notes I'm looking at for the Extreme Motorsports tool do mention a different strategy called could be made about not taking tires and the viability of it. And I think it's now just looking at it, certainly a possibility that Remy doesn't take tires. I mean, his tires are still at 93%. When they come into pit, he's definitely going to be able to, if he wants to not take tires. And you'd have to be worried about how bad the tires are going to be feeling at the end of the second run if you don't take tires on the first pit stop.
Yeah. But is it really worth not taking tires on the first run?
It might be if you get spots out of it.
I mean, it can, but whenever you have guys on fresher tires, they're eventually going to, come up and pass you. So if you're going to take no tires, you're going to have to pray for a caution to where you can make up for it. And
right now, this field is not looking wreck happy. We haven't had any cautions yet, and we might not get one, honestly. This has been very clean racing. And right as I say that, guys are deciding to go 3 wide for 9th. So
But there is a saying though: once the first one comes out, cautions breed cautions.
exactly, and that's
the rest of them.
the thing. If we get one caution, we're gonna have 3 or 4. We saw that at Daytona actually, where after we got the first wreck, they were all together again. Got another one, so that can definitely come into play, especially on a track like Loudon. I mean, late in the race, if we get a caution with like 20 to go, that's gonna be chaos because this track, it is so hard to pass, and you really need to do something on that restart. The restarts here are going to be crazy if we get any.
It seems to be
2
contact
cars
in the
around.
back. Will that bring it out?
I don't know. That's AK Isaiah and wide receiver both got into the
Caution is
wall.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This will shake things up.
yeah. And that's definitely going to throw a wrench in everyone's fuel strategy. What looked like happened there is wide receiver just got into Isaiah, and the two of them spun together and collected one other car that got through it without slowing too much down. And wide receiver is saying that was on Isaiah. And now they're wrecking each other under caution. So,
Tempers are flaring here at Loudon.
Loudon. I never
From
thought
what I
I'd hear about
saw-
tempers at Loudon, but
From what I saw, it looked like, the 47 was on the inside. I'll have to go back to it, actually. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was looking at the front of the pack, so not too sure.
I caught the end of it, but I know they both spun. Either way, I think one of them pushed up and the other just did not have the tire to hold the line on the bottom.
I was watching the whole
the,
thing. They were just door banging going into the corner, and they both spun.
Hit that left rear quarter panel and sent one, and then the
Not
other
really.
one with
He
it.
hardly hit the quarter. He kind of just slammed into the guy's door. I don't know. Must have gotten him really loose because they both went around, but it didn't look like he was trying to turn him or anything. They just got together.
Yeah,
Just an accident.
an unfortunate hard racing incident. As we see everybody coming down for service here, what will they do? Will we have some just take fuel, some with all 4 tires, some with just 2?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of shaking up going on out here. Nobody stays out. I think that the fuel is not quite enough to stay out.
I'm expecting most people to just take everything. I think
Because
that's
it's under
probably
caution,
the
I can
situation.
certainly see people just taking it.
Uh-huh.
But we'll see who comes out first. No issues getting into their pit stalls for anybody. So that's good to see. But I think Remy's going to be the first off pit road. Because of where he is. Yep. Actually, no.
Chris
Paul just barely. I thought Remy was going to be the first off. But that first pit stall, even though it actually took Chris Paul's pit crew a little bit longer than Remy's, I believe. Just because pit crew. But he entered the box a little bit later than he would have liked, I think. But because of that first pit stall, that really came into play there. That's what saved him. And that's, you want to pick either the first or the last pit stall, depending on track, and you get your choice. But
so far, right now, the fastest lap for today's race is held by Sleesher with the 37.92.
He's back in the pack right now. He's in 5th place, but he certainly has the chance, or 6th place. My apologies. He's got a chance to try and make something happen here on this restart, because he'll be lining up only 2 rows behind the leaders. So he's definitely got a shot to try something here. Try for a send, get himself up there. So they're going to be going green next time by. Jake, wait, restarts here. Disregard what I said. Or are they double? I always forget.
Yep,
Seems like every time I commentate here. It's going to be double today. But Chris Paul on the inside, Remy on the outside, and a couple of guys we haven't seen very much of. We got Gabe up here, no numbers.
Well, Trainwreck, the last week's race winner.
Sleesher, one of the stronger cars in the field, and somebody who I could definitely see as a championship pick right now.
I don't know, I think it's too early to to be
I
saying
honestly
that.
think those Extreme Motorsports cars, if it's not one of them, who's it going to be? Because those guys have been so strong. I mean, that's borderline a super team.
I mean,
Having
well,
good
look at
spare
Chris.
Remy, that's just...
He's not on XMS. He's still running pretty good though.
Yeah, Chris has definitely got a chance. I do worry about the amount of help he gets on the plate tracks, though, as they're going to get the green flag out here. Remy gets a really good restart on the outside line. Looks like he's going to take the lead going into the first corner. As Trainwreck actually pushes Joel into the corner. Now BNC gets forced down on the apron. And Remy's going to get the run off. A little bit of contact, a bit of door banging. And they both make it through. On the inside, Chris Paul's still holding strong. And there's some smoke back in the first corner. Looks like everyone kept it straight. Remy actually nearly spins, taking the contact there from Chris. He's going to bump him back off the corner, coming down onto the straightaway again. And Chris wins that battle for now. And there's a lot of shuffling going on back in the pack. Let's see if that leads to something. 2 cars around 3 now.
Yeah.
And that'll probably bring out a yeller.
Yep, there it is.
Yep, they're going to race back here. That was a wide receiver again involved.
And Sleesher as well.
Yeah, that was a big wreck. There's another wreck happening. That's 3 cars. Sleesher involved in that one. He turns 8K Isaiah into the wall.
Remy comes down over train wreck here, almost turns him, but he saves it, and Remy still holds on the second.
So at the end of that little run, and also cautions breed cautions. You called that. I mean,
yeah.
This kind of very, very sketchy restart there. I feel like everybody got real aggressive because they saw the opportunity to take spots, and that's what happens. If you're a racer, it happens no matter what you're doing. iRacing, NR, this game, real life, even. We see all those spots ahead of you. You get your adrenaline pumping, and you try and make up as much as you can on restarts, and that's what happens when guys get going 4 wide like that.
Well, I still think it's a little too early. Whenever the race comes down to maybe 75 laps in, nearly 100 laps in, position is key on the track. So if you're not up there in the beginning stages of the race, don't worry about it. But once it comes down to 50 to go, 75 to go, around there, that's when it's time to worry about. All right, I need to go in and focus and try to get all the positions I can on a restart, or just try to fight and battle back up to get to the top 5 and hope for a caution, pit for tires, get some fuel, and then battle back again on that restart, try to get up front, maybe second or first there.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but we got Sleesher actually, along with I Caught Rona and a couple other cars, including wide receiver and 8K Isaiah. They've come down pit road, despite the fact the leader stayed out. Now we see 2 different pit strategies now currently in effect. It's gone from very simple to very complicated very quickly. Some of these guys spun and just destroyed their tires. I'm sure that's why some of these guys are coming down pit road, but some of these guys kept it clean.
I want to point something out. BNC manager, or I Caught Rona, was the only person out of that little pit group to not take tires.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't take tires.
Yeah. If you're going to come in, you might as well take it all.
That's a weird pit call.
Who knows how this will play out for him later on in the race. This could be the strategy that ends up winning him, gains him more spots, or this can be the strategy that can ruin his day. We'll have to find out as the race goes on.
You see, I just throw random stuff at the wall and see what sticks when it comes to pit strategy. Maybe a bit more of a me taker. What's the point of only taking fuel right here?
Well, as you can see, we only did probably about maybe 1 or 2 laps. Even if you didn't spin in the back, I mean, your tires are still fine. If you did spin, you might want to, you burnt your rubber off, you need to grab it. But if he was not involved in any spinning, maybe just grab some fuel, save the tires a little bit, and he can stay out longer than the front pack, and maybe he can stay out longer than anybody else and gain some time.
Do a bit of an overcut.
Yep, do a little bit of an overcut on the pitting, and make sure, that way he gets fresh tires while everybody else, by the time they're already back out, they're already burning their tires down. He has some fresh stuff. He can make up time lost.
You see, for me, I don't think he actually lost very many spots, because I think he may have lost 2 spots. So that might actually be a decent call there, because he came out ahead of all the other pitting cars.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We're going to come back to the restart zone. Lap 32 of the race. Chris Paul on the inside, Remy on the outside. Green flag is out. Remy actually got a big jump again on the outside line. Trainwreck nearly takes him 3 wide. Backs out of it. Speaking of 3 wide, back in the group there, going 3 and 4 wide. Like it's nothing back there. BNC General, Chris Paul gets to the front again, but Remy's right on his outside quarter panel. Don't know if he's going to be able to get down underneath him there. Do you think it's too early to be pushing like this, Taker?
I definitely think it's a little bit too early to push hard. We're on lap 32 and 150. I would start pushing around lap 75, lap 80. Save the stuff, see how the drivers are driving. Try to, beat them on strategy right now versus, speed and skill.
And Trainwreck just got forced up into the wall by numbers, and that's going to slow both of them down. And it checked up Sleesher. I think again we're going to see the front three just gap everyone, and they're getting ahead of everyone else again. Oh, great slide job there. Didn't stick though for numbers. Sure, you saw that. That was very impressive. He made that
take
stick
3 wide.
Yeah, still 3 wide. And numbers checks up and gets out of it. And checks up more cars. You can see how being in the pack slows you down because you're checking up for other people, trying to race other people, trying different lines. Versus these guys at the front who are just running their own stuff. As Remy actually gets the inside of Chris Paul there, and Remy takes the lead. So that's our first actual lead change of the day. Remy gets out in front, and he's going to lead the lap here. So already a lot of drama in this race and a lot of strategy coming into it. As this race goes on, do you think these people are going to settle in and just kind of run their laps down? Or do you think it's going to still be this kind of frantic, trying to get as much track position as possible for the pit strategy?
Well, I know the people back in the pack are definitely thinking, I need to get out of this pack. As we got a car on the inside, looks like a lost connection here, and he's back. We're good.
Yeah,
anyway, cool. Back to what I was saying. Everybody back in the pack wants to, try to be out leading that top pack. That way, they can focus on running their line and running their race. If they have somebody else pressuring them, then they're just going to keep making mistakes. But leaders out front, they're going to settle into a rhythm, settle into a groove, and they love seeing people in the mirror battling behind them. That means, hey, we're going to gain more speed while they're, having to brake at different points and burn more of their tires just trying to battle each other. So let's just take it easy, keep pushing out front, and eventually we'll gain more time on them to where when pit strategies come into play, we're still going to be out front.
Yeah, and Sleesher's actually made up a spot. Now he's in third. He's moved up there. So that's going to be interesting. See if he just tries to drive this hard out right now and try and get up to the leaders. It looks like he is. I mean, he's smoking the tires on corner entry. He is really driving that car right now. He's doing his damnedest.
A few cars around.
Yep, I believe that will bring it out again. Wide receivers gets turned on the straightaway by Schulk. Nope, they're going to stay green. And Sleesher is really trying to get up there. I mean, he is driving that car right now. But it's so hard to make up time here at Loudon. It's so easy to lose it. This track is a very harsh track. So we're going to do a crank it up now. So that gives us an opportunity to go take a pee break and you an opportunity to hear these great engines. So we'll be back momentarily.
Are we good?
I believe so.
Okay.
I hope so. He said. All right, welcome back to Jackal Racing here at New Hampshire. Battle for the lead's heating up. We got Commander Remy at the front. I'm joined here by Taker and Roger Roach. So, boys, we saw some stuff going on under caution. Tell me what happened, because I wasn't here.
Well, while you were away, we had Chris Paul repass Remy for the lead, and he held it for a few laps, and Remy took it back. And as I'm speaking about this, Chris Paul on the inside of Remy.
Yeah, I mean, that was nice little... He got the bumper to Remy there, kind of pushed him out of the groove. And he kind of got into Remy's quarter panel, shoved him up the track, got him going faster than he wanted to go into the corner, and passed him there. We're going to see if Remy can hold on the outside. You can hold people on the outside, but it's really hard to actually get this position back out there. Unless you do some sort of crossover, which Remy practiced so many times during practice doing crossovers that he might be able to do it, although Chris Paul manages to wrestle with his car, nearly spinning it down the bottom. And I think we're going to finally see a real battle between these two here. And if you look at the tire wear, they're both the same on tires, but Chris Paul has used a bit more fuel. And that's consistent with what we saw in the first run, too. Chris Paul's running the throttle a bit differently in the corner. He's giving it a little bit more gas earlier in the corner than Remy is. And that's certainly something that we can see has an effect on the fuel mileage, as they both nearly avoid, or barely avoid, wrecking there. That was pretty close. Close call there. Almost got into the quarter panel of Chris Paul.
Where these guys have been battling, Joel has fallen back, and he's battling for fifth, and Sleesher has found his way up front. He is hoping these guys keep battling. That way he can have a shot to get around Remy and Chris Paul to take the lead.
Sleesher has moved all the way up from the back of the pack on this run.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's making good moves here. I mean, if you look at him, he's saved his tires, too. His tires are 2% better than Remy and Chris Paul. It doesn't sound like much, but every little bit matters.
He also did go in and pit for tires and fuel, so I did expect to see one of those guys at least push their way up front. Sleesher.
He's able to push so much harder right now than these guys. You can tell he's just driving past them. And that's a good strategy call from Sleesher. It's going to put him up into second now.
Not only that, Sleesher 200 gallons more fuel than what these guys do. So we're going to see him stay out maybe one or two more laps, putting these guys a lap down. And if he's able to do that, then when caution comes out, then Sleesher, definitely will have the right strategy here.
Yeah, if he does that and the caution comes out, he can actually pin those guys too. He can actually pin them a lap down if he puts them 2 down. And it's certainly a strategy. I've seen that happen on tracks like this before, and that is kind of the worst thing ever, being stuck like that. When you're a fast car and you get stuck a lap down, you're racing for the lucky dog. But yeah, Sleesher, on those much newer tires, definitely has a chance to get around Chris Paul here. He's actually going outside of him, picks up the throttle a lot earlier. But Chris Paul is really pushing the car. You can see him wiggle off of the corner there. He's pushing the car so much harder just to keep himself ahead of Sleesher. So I think Sleesher definitely has the advantage here. If you're Chris Paul, what do you do to hold off Sleesher right here?
Well, all I need to do is basically block the low line, because it seems to be that low line's getting the runoff on fresher tires. So he's going to need to hold off on that low line, make sure that Sleesher does not get a hold of it, send it in, make him drive it a little bit deeper, try to get his tires equal to mine. That way we can just have a, equal tire fight versus new tires versus old tires. But as we can see here, Chris Paul already let the inside line just dwindle away.
Yeah, I will note that Sleesher has used up a lot of that tire advantage he had, though. He's back down to being about the same as Chris Paul. Here comes a crossover move. A lot of contact off the corner now. Ooh. And Rubbin's racing, and that's a bit of rubbing right there.
Sleesher led his first lap of the race right there.
Yeah, Chris Paul trying to get himself back into the lead, though. He's pushing Sleesher all the way out of the groove. And Remy likes to see that, because he's getting back into the fight again. Because Remy lost a lot of time. I feel like he actually just let Sleesher by. It didn't seem like he fought with Sleesher too much. That is a team car. So, as Chris Paul nearly spins it again.
As you can see, you definitely have, old tires now. He's definitely wearing the tread down on those. So he's going to get loose on exit while Sleesher still has his stuff in. So if Sleesher just waits for the right moment, keep intimidating him, putting pressure on him, he's going to make a mistake, and 21's going to be the new leader.
Hey, speaking of old tires, if you remember about 10-15 laps ago, I caught Rona, didn't take tires when he pit. Now he's sitting in what appears to be, I think, 11th place, and has dropped back significantly.
Yeah, so that call did not work out for him. He's on 90% on his tires. I mean, it seems like every other corner I've been watching him off and on. It looks like he's almost finished. He's really struggling for grip out there. And these tires kind of have a cliff.
Ooh, Sleesher lost it. Sleesher pushing it a little bit hard, trying to gain some time on Chris Paul. Gets loose and smacks the wall. Loses second.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted to see. He still got the better tires. Now he has to that's the gap that it was before he started pushing. So he's got to make all that back up on now pretty much the same tires as these guys. I mean, because he wore them out.
Since I just spun it and got the tires a little bit overheated, I'm going to save my tires, push a little bit less on these next 2 laps, cool them back down to where, you know, they're not overheated. I'm not losing grip, and then, you know, just focus on my line. And that's mainly it. You got to race the track here at New Hampshire. One mistake, you lose seconds of valuable time.
Yeah. And this track is a track where it's easy to lose time and really hard to gain. This is, I'd call it a double-edged sword, but it's actually kind of just one edge. And the caution is out.
Caution.
Yeah, see what that's for. I don't see a...
Huh?
Possibly a competition caution.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know. Could have also been thrown for who knows what. We'll ask, because I didn't see anything about a comp caution on the race spreadsheet. The race schedule. So... we actually have a quote now from Sleesher in the VC that he apparently said his train wreck gets sent around by Joel Musa on the raceback. But Sleesher said in the VC, quote, "I got out of my rhythm when Chris slid me up the track and I crashed." So that's what happened. So that's not a direct quote because I'm paraphrasing a paraphrase, but that seems like what Sleesher said in that case, considering that the information I was getting.
That can be easily done. Like you said, you got to get into a rhythm, and if one little thing breaks your rhythm, it takes 2 or 3 laps to get back into it. So you just got to stay focused.
I believe Shulk brought out the caution. I think his garbage internet struck and took someone out or something. That's what it sounds like. So I have Shulk in my league, and I can confirm his internet is garbage. Expert analysis you only get here, but we'll see what the pit strategy will be this time. I wonder if we're going to see a bit more variety this time with the pit strategy.
I definitely have a feeling everybody's going to be coming down for tires and fuel this time.
See, if I was a back marker who had no chance of winning this race, I would just stay out and lead a lap. But it looks like everybody's still trying for those points, trying to make the best call. I don't think we're going to see anything that wacko. You know, like we saw during the last pit cycle, somebody didn't take tires and it completely destroyed their race. I mean, they're stuck at like last pretty much now. I don't think that's a good choice. Yeah. So I don't think we're going to see that again. We might see someone only take 2 tires. That is an option, I believe.
I believe so, and here we come out of the box. Remy will beat Chris Paul out of it, and it seems to be Sleesher barely nudges out Joel Musa as well.
I think Joel Musa thinks he got it. He's pulling in front of Sleesher. Huh. Yeah, looks like Joel got it. If only we could get a replay of that, because that was really close. I thought Joel had it, but it was really close.
From my angle, from where I had the camera, it looked like Sleesher, but then yet again, I didn't have that full side-on view, so it could have been.
Yeah, I had an angle too.
But hard to tell, but I guess you know, race command, Mr. Icky himself made the call, so it looks like Joel barely nudged out Sleesher there and gained a spot.
He said he didn't see Sleesher there, so wonder if maybe he's gonna let Sleesher in that spot. We'll see. But it's going to be 2 to go at the line. So it's going to be real interesting now. 1 to go. It's going to be really interesting on this restart what people do, because we're about a third. We're just past a third of the way through the race. And I think now is the point where track position really starts to matter. Because at this point in the race, we get a long green flag run. That could be the long green flag. You know, we already had about a 25-30 lap one early in the race. And I certainly think that this particular green flag run is going to be one that really decides who wins this. Because we still haven't had a green flag pit stop. And that first green flag pit stop that we get, if we get one, is going to be where all the strategy. going to stay clear. Remy can't get himself into line. He's getting shuffled back. Sleisher's going to have a huge run coming off the corner here, guys. He's not quite going to be able to get to B and C. Had to lift a little bit. Joel Musa leads his first lap of the race after that pit call. I wonder if he's on some sort of... He got out ahead of some guys I didn't think he'd get out in front of, but looks like there was nothing funny there. His tires are new, and he's got a big tank of fuel, so...
Could have been it, or he could have just had a good stop. His pit crew could have got him in and out faster than what the other guys do. As we have losing in it into 3.
Oh, and that's going to get Baseball Freak up into the wall. And
a couple others.
I caught Rona spins at the back. They're 3 wide right now on the race back, 2 deep. No caution yet. I don't think we're going to get one if they haven't thrown it yet. That's a surprising no caution call. I guess it was multiple one-car incidents, but... Sleisher door bang with Chris Ball Paul now for the lead, and they're also door banging for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This is getting really exciting here at the front. People really trying to push. I don't think that if I was one of these drivers, I'd have to be reminding myself, I got to make these tires last 40 laps, you know? This is not the time to be pushing this hard. But Sleisher seems to think it is. He gets down the corner, he's going to be inside of Chris Ball Paul. Chris has got to try and do something here to hold him off, because I don't know if it's going to be doable on the outside. Eventually, he will get past. He gets a good run off the corner, but still can't get clear. He finally does get clear of Sleisher. So
I think Sleisher did that whole entire run there. In 1 and 2, he kept on blipping the apron a little bit, scrubbing off some of that speed, and that allowed Chris, you know,
Chris is great at that. He can squeeze you around. He kind of controls the racetrack. You know? That's what he's really good at. That's one of his best skills. He can kind of get you up into the wall. He can check you down. He can do all sorts of crap. And it really messes up the way you're running and gets you out of your rhythm. We saw it earlier. He put you behind the wall without even touching you. You know? So stuff like that is what he's good at. Sleisher actually executes a bump and run on Chris. It don't matter how good you're controlling the racetrack. If you get bumped like that, you're losing. So Sleisher gets up to the front. We're going to give Chris credit for leading the lap.
Yeah, so that was Sleisher's lap there.
This is a good battle for the lead.
Again, getting back on that inside, gave him a little bit of, you know, hey, you bump me, I'm up.
And Joel Musa actually
touches the apron once again, scrubs off all that speed.
I'd like to make a note. Joel Musa's working on Commander Remy now. That's interesting to see because I thought Remy was going to be really strong here on this run. But so far, it seems like he might actually be saving a little bit, trying to wait for these guys in front of him to do something funny. As Sleisher gets into Chris Ball Paul and checks himself up again. I mean, they're bumping a lot. Oh, we got a call out of the middle of the pack. Take care of it. And he gets collected by 2K Blue. No yellow for that. You know, before the race, people were talking about train wreck being a possibility as a winner for this. He hasn't really been present in the front so far. So,
yeah, he was recently took himself out.
Oh, Remy around! He took contact with Sleisher. Oh no!
That shakes things up a bit.
That really shakes things up. He got into Sleisher there and self-spun. I guess it's better than spinning out your teammate, but that's gonna really hurt Sleisher's chances of getting to Chris Ball Paul now because now Chris Ball Paul can just scoot away. He doesn't have to worry about 2 guys behind him who can pass him right now.
Yeah.
As for Trainwreck, early in the race we saw him running well, but right now it seems like he just doesn't have the track. He's actually losing spots right now. AK Isaiah, who self-spun a lap ago, is actually passing him. So I wonder if there's some sort of fuel strategy going on over there for Trainwreck because he just lost another spot. He's back in 12th.
Well, it could be fuel strategy, but he also did self-spin twice on this green flag run right here, right now. So his tires are definitely shot.
Yeah, I mean, he's on... Although his tires are better than the guy who self-spun 3 times on it. So, I mean, you always got to look at the bright side when you're racing. He's doing better than 8K Isaiah. Well, 8K Isaiah just passed him on older tires, so that's maybe not so bright. And we got another spin. It's Kreesum going around in front of the pack. He collects a 27. 27 keeps it straight again. So once again, no yeller. A lot of single car spins now as we get on these tires that are getting a bit more worn out than we've seen them so far this race. And Chris Bald Paul has Sleisher right up behind him again. about a half second back, but it's certainly getting interesting out there. I'm curious as to what y'all think about who you guys think is going to win this race, because I've been talking a lot. I need a drink of water. Y'all got to say something.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is pretty strong, Solutions are pretty strong, and Remy as well. I mean, they've been up there the whole time, just racing each other. It'd definitely be between those three. I mean, Joel's pretty strong too. He's definitely good. What do you think, Taker?
Right now, I'm going to go with my gut and say Chris Paul has been dominating this race here. I honestly think he will definitely pull it off in the end.
Great commentator's curse. He just lost the lead. That was great timing there. Sleesher back to the front now. Although Sleesher nearly self-spins on the bike. He's catching the apron and almost spinning every lap. Y'all notice that? Every time he gets down there, he catches the apron and loses a ton of speed. I don't know if he's just trying to run the shortest line around or he's getting squeezed down there, but I don't think that's good for your lap time.
He might just be trying to get up under Joel Musa, but just can't get there.
He's getting under Chris Paul.
I thought we were talking about Remy.
He's talking about Sleesher.
My apologies.
Yeah, fuel strategy is really going to come in here. We're down to about 900 liters. Are they liters or? Couldn't be down.
Oh, Remy.
Oh, that's 3 cars there almost. But Remy, they all saved that. That was a really good save by Remy. But I also got to give credit to Joel Musa and Blackstone Warden as well, because all 3 of those guys could have gone, and Blackstone Warden ruined my record. Talking about him. The commentator's curse is real, okay? I don't care what y'all say.
I mean, Blackstone came up under Remy, and they just kind of sandwiched Remy, and he went around.
See, we're about halfway through this race. We're not quite to halfway, but we're getting close. And Taker, I'm curious, because you know a lot about Jackal fuel strategy. You've raced here a lot more than I have. He's actually muted right now, so I'm going to ask Roger, even though you don't know that.
I mean, I'm pretty good with fuel and fuel strategy. I mean, I raced an RS car. I understand.
Yes, but what are your thoughts on the fuel strategy right now? You think that right now is the time to save, or you think you should just keep pushing and get to the fuel stop and take?
Well, either way, everyone's gonna have to pit in about 15-20 laps, whether caution comes out or not.
Here's the thing: I would try to save as much as I can, because if you can stay out a lap or 2 more than what these other guys can, maybe even 3 or 4 laps, you're saving more fuel, because then you might be able to edge it out to the end of the race. If we continue green, they can win it off of fuel strategy there, while everybody else is trying to save. Like, oh crap, I now have to save. You can burn a little bit more because you got a little bit more extra in the tank, because you can go 3 or 4 to the good while everybody else is trying to save to make it to that checkered flag.
And now that Sleesher is in the lead,
Aaron, team orders, let me
I do think that what he needs to do, or not Sleesher, sorry, I think what Chris Paul needs to do is just save. I feel like right now is a great time to save. You don't have to push right now. You have a little bit less fuel than Sleesher, so you got to find a way to make up that difference. And also, if you save those tires, you might be able to get back up into Sleesher, because Sleesher has slightly better tires than Chris Paul because of Chris Paul getting loose a couple of times, and Joel Musa takes out Remy. And no yellow for that either. They all got it straight again. There's a lot of smoke, though, and people driving into the smoke slamming into each other. So,
I want to talk about
UK Blue, big move there.
I want to talk about what Taker was saying about if you stay out, you lap them a couple times. I don't know how much a couple times would do, because they'd catch up, but 3 and 4 definitely I would be looking to get 3 or 4 laps on those guys at the pit. But that's really difficult.
You see, I figure that you're going to put someone 2 laps down if they hit under green, maybe 1.5. It's going to be somewhere between there, depending on what kind of fuel stop they do. But when you put someone that many laps down, you can kind of pin them a lap down with the caution, and that will take cars off the lap. If that doesn't happen,
it takes some luck, though.
Yeah, it takes some luck. But if you can pin down, like if Sleesher was able to stay out and pin Chris Paul down under caution, that would be a huge help to, because you're taking cars that can take away your winning chances off the track. Speaking of taking away winning chances, Sleesher and Chris Paul have gotten a huge lead, and Schulk is actually exiting pits right now. I believe he is the first person to make any sort of green flag stop.
Yep.
He's going to be 2 laps down, I believe, so I guess he will be losing 2 laps. I think that was a full stop. He seems to have a full tank of fuel and new tires. So you're going to be able to set down some quick laps here. You have to have a really good outlap. That's very important. Having a good in-lap and a good outlap acts really maximizing the potential of your entry and your exit out of pit road.
Taker.
Blackstone Warden just really driving the car right now. He's getting down to 600 fuel. He's behind Sleesher on fuel. He's behind Sleesher on track position. So he's got to think about something. He's got to either pass him or try and figure out something in the strategy if he wants to come out ahead of Sleesher.
Yeah, Taker, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
When it comes to a pit strategy, who comes to mind?
Who comes to mind off the top of my head here?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely thinking of Warden and Sleesher.
Yeah. I feel
Actually, if we're talking about previous,
Yeah, I'm
Brand-
talking about previous.
Ray Antoine.
That is exactly what I was going to say, because I'm thinking about Las Vegas from when was it? You were at that race. Taker.
That was the race I won.
Mm-hmm.
That was the race I won in Jackal. My
He-
first ever Jackal win was at Las
He
Vegas.
set up a great pit strategy and a great fuel stint, but unfortunately, caution broke it.
He lapped most of the field. And
Oh,
Sleesher
Sleesher's
spins
good.
himself
Oh.
around in the lead.
Oh, that is just terrible
That
for
is
him.
Terrible.
Not what he needed at all.
No.
And now he lost a spot to that, and he's got a lap car between him and Chris, and now his tires are completely burned off. I think it might be time to come down pit road for him, honestly. He might have to try something. Because
It's
he ain't
either time to
catch
come down
Chris.
pit road or try to save as much fuel as you can now, because he definitely has a little bit more, probably about 80 gallons left, more than what Chris Paul does, so he can probably squeeze maybe a lap more.
Maybe. He might be able to squeeze a lap more, but, I mean, that's risky. You don't want to wear out fuel at this point in the race, you know? It's not... I want to let because he'll be losing a lap.
Is now in the pits.
And Blackstone Warden now is going to try and get around Sleesher, I think. That is real unfortunate, though, for Sleesher. I mean, that is not what he wanted to see. And as we said, you know, this track is a track where it's so hard to gain time, but losing time is just that easy. I mean, he's going to go 3 seconds now behind the lead, and that's almost unassailable without something happening, like a yellow or a good pit call. But when it comes to pit strategy, I said AK Isaiah. That was not correct. 2K Blue comes to mind. I've seen him make some really good pit calls in other leagues, including mine. I mean, he's smart with pit stop strategy,
Right.
but he's kind of out of the conversation right now. He's 7 seconds back. He'd have to do something incredible to get back up.
Yeah, I mean, I've
So-
seen him running in the back most of the race, so I think he's doing pretty good right now, considering how he was doing.
Well, I mean, with 2K Blue right now, he's running up almost in the top 5. He's subbing for Good Square.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty big shoes to fill. So he's running a pretty good race. He's gonna save Good Square some points here. But
Yeah,
right now, if
yeah.
I'm him, I'd be thinking about what pit call I need to make. Get that Camry up towards the front, because it's really difficult when you're that far back to kind of gauge what
Yeah.
the leaders are doing, you know? Even if you're in the VC with them, they might not be forthcoming. You might say, hey, how are you doing on field? They might tell you to shut up. You know, it's
Yeah.
not the easiest thing in the world. Do you guys want to do it through the field real quick? I feel like that might be interesting. You guys want to
Yeah,
alternate? Going 1, 2, 3? All right, I'll do every first one. Taker, you do every second one, and then Roger do every third. All right, I'll start with Chris Paul.
Taker
He's been leading most of this race. He's been running real good. He's had a good run, but you got to have some questions about the stability, because he's spun a couple of times, gotten sideways, and had some pretty reckless moments with some other cars. So if he gets into a battle late in the race and pressure is put on him, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But right now, everything's going to plan for him. All right.
And in second place, we have Sleesher here. Sleesher didn't have a really good start at the beginning of the race. Got sent to the back due to a bad wreck. But he did have a good call in pit strategy, battled his way back up to the front, and he's been leading a few laps here. The one thing that he definitely needs to worry about is saving those tires. That is key for him today. He's spun it plenty of times, gotten loose, self-spun himself. He definitely needs to push, a little less on those tires, get on the throttle a little bit later in the corner, try to focus on getting a good exit, and then if he can do that, he can probably end up winning this thing here today.
Blackstone rounds out your top 3, which is kind of surprising. You haven't seen him up there too much. Not the greatest line compared to someone like Sleesher or Chris Paul, but he's running up there pretty well, keeping up with Sleesher. He's just got to get a good pit strategy up here in the next few laps. He's sitting at 300 fuel like Sleesher and Chris Paul. And you just got to think up a good pit strategy so you can come out in front of those guys. You know, maybe take just 2 tires, maybe take only fuel.
Yes, that Chris Paul interests me, and I'm going to do numbers as he comes down pit road. I'm just going to make a quick on him. He's having a solid run. He's doing all right, and he's our first lead lap guy to actually come down pit road who isn't, you know, crashing every 3 corners because of their internet. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy he goes for. But right now, everything's going to plan for numbers.
Commander Remy has had a great day so far until his unfortunate timing with Joel Musa getting taken out to the back. He definitely has led a lot of laps out here today, being a front row contender, but unfortunate circumstances bring him back to 5th. Or 4th, excuse me. So he's sitting in 4th right now. He's right now praying, you know, maybe a caution to rack the field back up and get back out front. But if it keeps going green, I don't think his chances are there right now, because he has a lot of time to make up. But, you know, right now, if I was Remy, I'd be praying for that caution, rack him back up, and try to battle back up front and just protect those tires.
What do you think of his chances for a long shot strategy call?
Long stretch strategy call, I don't think it's definitely there with how much he is behind. He is 7 seconds. That's a lot of time to make up. So he would probably have to stay out or maybe undercut. But even then, if you try to do that, I mean, I don't think you're going to make up 7 seconds from a pit strategy here.
Yeah, I think that's true.
The baseball freak trying to make a move on Trainwreck and no numbers, but he's been one of those back runners most of the race, just in the back trying to make his way up without much of a problem. But unfortunately, he's been involved in a couple of wrecks and just hasn't had a great day. But now he's up there and he's trying. He hasn't pit yet though. So
as for Trainwreck, a guy he's currently battling with, I thought you were doing him, so I don't really have anything on him. He's had a solid day. I mean, he's been up there at the front. He's been at the back. He's been all over the place. But a very varied day for him. It's not going all to plan. He's had a couple of moments. He's gotten in some crashes. But I think he certainly can be happy with where he is right now. And if there's another caution, he certainly has a chance to try and get up there and steal away a win.
Well, I was going to be doing the 47 of wide receiver, but he went in ahead of pit. So did Remy. Remy and Wide both on pit road right now, but I'll go ahead and continue on with the 47. So far, he has been a strong contender in a different league. In RSCAR, he was a champion. Coming to Jackal, he's just been struggling. Can't find the rooting with these cars. It's a brand new car this season. So he's just been struggling. He's struggling to try to get that top 5 finish. But once he can just figure out the track and the car, he'll definitely be up front later on. But for this race here, he just can't figure out Loudon. It's a tough track for him. You know, it's not banked enough. He's definitely fast on these, you know, high banks of Bristol, Dega, and all these other tracks that have high banking, but flat tracks and in a car that's very loose, he's just struggling. And I don't think he's going to have a shot to get the victory here today. But I definitely think if he pushes hard enough, he can definitely get a top 10, top 5.
Yeah. Moving on to 2K Blue, it's getting all jumbled up. I think we got almost everybody. Just look at it.
I can't tell.
We started up through the field at the worst possible time. 2K Blue, he's filling some really big shoes, a good square. He's had a pretty decent race. He's gotten involved in a couple of wrecks. Didn't do anything stupid yet, though, and that's the key when you're a substitute driver. Is don't do anything that's going to lose your driver point. So, you know, that's exactly what he wants to do. And he's currently having pretty much exactly what you'd expect out of 2K Blue at Loudon. He's running up near the front. Not necessarily leading last, but definitely a contender to maybe steal a win if we get a late caution or something. I think we've hit just about everybody except for Kreesum, 8K Isaiah, and Shulk. And Joel. Did we get Joel? I don't know. Yeah, we just did receiver.
Oh, we did?
We got almost everybody. Who wants to do Shulk? Who wants to talk about his dreadful day?
I guess I will. I mean,
Shulk,
me either. He's been in the back most of the race. There's not too much to really talk about him, and you know he got lapped early on, just really unfortunate for him. And there's really not much else to say. He's 2 laps down.
Yeah,
doesn't really have too much of a chance.
Not really a contender, but he's out there running laps, getting some points.
Yep.
So I don't know what the pit cycle is right now. It looks like Sleesher's coming off pit road.
Chris Paul retakes the lead.
Yeah, we're going to see where everybody cycles out after this. It's going to be interesting. I think we're just about done with the pit cycle. We got a couple more cars still pitting, but I think they're almost done. I think we now have everyone off pit road, I believe.
Baseball is going to have to pit. He's at 50 fuel.
Dang, so that's a long pit right there. That is all the way to the end of the fuel run. But I believe he's the last guy to enter pit road. Looking at everybody. We got some guys who didn't take tires. So that'll be interesting. But it looks like Chris Paul's going to come out with a pretty big lead. I think that's just a pretty legit lead. I don't think he did anything funny during the pit cycle. He's got Schulk trying to unlap himself behind him, so that's going to be interesting. Never mind, Schulk hit the wall. But coming out of the pit cycle right there, Chris Paul did exactly what he wants to do. He now takes the lead back as he passes the pitting car. And Numbers has actually gotten himself up into second. That's interesting to see. Numbers, I don't know if he actually did something in the pit stop to get a shorter stop or just had a good entry, because he gained a lot of time. He's only 3 seconds behind the lead now. But he's got a lap car between him and Chris Paul. And I don't know if they're going to have to pit again. Do the math.
I think they're just short, so they're
going to be short by about 3 laps.
Somebody can stretch it the whole way. It'll take a miracle for somebody to stretch it the whole way, but I'm pretty sure.
I want to be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone tried it at least. I don't think it'll work. But
might not work.
Someone at the back's going to try it. You already know, like 8K Isaiah or someone's just going to like stay out until their car ain't running no more. You know?
Well, if you look at Schulk, he kind of odd because he's got 700 fuel, which means he'll have to pit at a much different time than everyone else. So if everyone comes in and he stays out,
we got a spinner. That's Numbers.
He's gonna get his laps back and possibly get up to the top of the field.
I don't think he's gonna get his laps back unless he gets more precautions. He is currently the lucky dog.
He's currently the lucky dog, but he's sitting 2 laps down, so I don't think,
he needs 2 yellows to get back on the lead lap, and he's on bad fuel strategy. I'm not saying that he couldn't win this race. I mean, if everybody else unplugged their router and then smashed their computer with a sledgehammer, he had a chance. But if that don't happen, I don't see him. And Chris Paul is just scooting away right now. He's pushing his car right now as well. I think he's just trying to get as far away from everyone else as possible. Maybe even start lapping these guys. He's actually got lappers who you can see on the exit of the corners as he's entering them. So he's really driving right now. He's had a really good race. He's had a strong race. And that's the kind of thing Chris Paul can do. He can really just dominate races if he gets out front.
All he has to do is probably look at his mistakes, and then he will be golden as a top 3 guy every week in and week out.
He's probably thinking, I'm going to have to pit it either way before the end of the race. Might as well run as fast as I can right now, as hard as I can, get a little bit of time on these guys.
It's going to be interesting to see when people pit, though. Are they going to pit with 10 to go, or are they going to pit somewhere in the middle of that field run? Try and get some better tires to run at a different time. It's going to be... That's what I'm wondering about right now. Let's see how that plays in, because there's still one pit stop, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong coming into pit road here. As Sleesher gets back up into the top 5, I believe Numbers lost about 8 spots from his spin. No, 3 spots, sorry, I thought he lost more. That was a big spin. So Sleesher back, he's a whole straightaway behind Chris Paul right now. He's going to need Chris to spin if he's going to get back into it. But Chris right now, if I was him, I wouldn't be pushing. I know I have the lead. I know I have a 4-second advantage, which is almost unassailable here if I don't make a mistake. So I might as well just try and, run as far as I can without burning up everything, It's an interesting call. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. If they pit just 10 laps before the end of the race, then, that's going to change up everything, because that's so close to the end of the race that anything could really happen. Caution can come out while somebody's coming out of the pits. Somebody could just take the lead out of nowhere because somebody jacked up their pit strategy. You really know.
Yeah, Sleesher right now is actually not gaining on Chris Paul, but he's left the pack of cars behind him behind. So now he's got a clean line of sight towards.
That is mainly due to Schulk, the lapper, just holding everybody up back there. So once Sleesher got around him, it's a struggle for everybody else trying to get around him.
he did.
I don't know. I think he actually like spun it.
I thought his tires are way more worn. All right, welcome back to Jackal Racing on Jackal Racing. That still confuses me. Chris Paul has an 8-second lead almost now. He is driving away from these boys. There's still one pit stop to go, so it's going to be interesting to see if anyone tries to jump over him or if he tries to do something stupid to prevent people from jumping over him. I mean, pit strategy at the end of races can get wild. I'm joined by Roger Roach and Taker. I mean, it's been a decent race. Got a couple wrecks. Right now, everyone's kind of settled into the groove. There's a really good fight right now going on for second place between Sleesher and Commander Remy, along with Blackstone Warden as well. Also a good battle going on for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Just all those spots kind of all going up at once. Everybody's trying to vie for position. And Joel Musa almost just got turned coming off the corner. So they're fighting hard for everything. The only guy right now who's not fighting hard for their spot is the guy in the lead, Chris Paul. He's gotten way out ahead of everyone. I mean, he now has they come to the line, we'll see the gap, 6.2-second lead. So he lost 2 seconds and he's still fine, you know? So it'll be interesting to see what goes on here. Taker, going towards the end of this race, if you're Chris Paul, how do you make sure that you minimize mistakes and get yourself to win?
I'm going to be focusing more on my line now because, you know, tires are getting worn in. It's easier to spin it. I'm going to try to focus on, hey, ease in onto that throttle. I don't want to spin it, lose some time here. I already got 6 seconds ahead. Let them burn their stuff trying to catch to me. Maybe save a little bit more fuel. That way you can stretch it maybe a lap. Yeah. Other than that, just make sure you make no mistakes. Don't put yourself in the situation to get loose or spin yourself. Make sure that you hit pit road and your box once you have to come down. Hit pit speed, get your box, don't overshoot it because then you're going to lose valuable seconds again. Mm-hmm. One little mistake can cost the whole race for you. So he needs to just breathe in, relax, just get into his groove like he has been for the past 70 laps now. Just get into that groove, just stay with it, and he'll pull away with it. Yeah,
Sleesher's gaining on him, but right now I think if I'm Chris Paul, I don't even want to be looking at the timing board right now. It's detriment. I mean, he's been here so many times as well. He is not unfamiliar with leading races. He's done that so many times. But, you know, every race, I feel like even like if you're like 100th race that you're in the lead of and you're going to win, it's still just as nervous as your first, at least in my opinion. You know, it's just trying to make sure you're out in front. I mean, he's losing about a quarter second a lap. I wonder if he's losing the track a little bit or if he's just really trying to save. He's got way less fuel than Sleesher. Sleesher's down on like 750 fuel. Chris Paul is down below 700 now. So he's going to have to pit a whole lap earlier than Sleesher because he uses about 50 fuel a lap. So he's going to have to pit a whole lap earlier than Sleesher unless he finds a way to save. And that could definitely be a detriment to him if he has one less lap.
Yes, it definitely can be that detrimenting, you know, race-ending factor there. Mm-hmm. Because if we're winding down laps, that can, you know, cause him to finish second instead of first right there. You know, He's burning fuel way too much, but that's the bad thing about being the leader here at these long tracks. You've got to burn the fuel to stay out front. If you're back to back catching draft, you can run half throttle and stay 2 more laps versus the leader.
Mm-hmm. And that's a real interesting thing right now for Chris Paul because if he pushes, he wastes his fuel and he ends up being, you know, too far down. But if he doesn't push, Sleesher is gaining a little bit. And there's more than enough time for Sleesher to get back up to him, or at least close enough that it makes some sort of strategy call an issue, you know? And we do have some cars starting to come down pit road now, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see. I think it's Numbers, the first car to pit, along with, I don't know who else that is. Trying to figure that out for y'all. But cars starting to come down pit road for the final pit stop. We're going to see if anything funny happens. But right now, if I'm Chris Paul, I am just not looking in my mirror. And we actually have a drive-through penalty that's been given to 8K Isaiah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. And he's been given a drive-through penalty for speeding, so he's just not having a great day. In fact, I believe, we talked about Schulk being stuck last. I do believe Schulk may pass 8K Isaiah now.
Oh, wow.
We'll see what happens. But 8K Isaiah got a drive-through for speeding. That's mighty unfortunate for him. That's a race-ending mistake right there. He's out. He's completely out of things now. He was out before, now he's really out.
There is some varying strategy I've noticed. You got some people lap down. That shouldn't be a lap down. We've got wide receiver and all these others. They're trying to short pit here because then they have the fuel to make it to the end while these other guys aren't. So while they're on pit road, they're going to try to make up that time and possibly gain the lead here. So there's some definite varying strategies because they know now this is the time to pit. I will have enough to make it to the end.
Yeah. As for Chris Paul, for him right now, I've got to be wondering if he wants to take a full pit stop or if he wants to try something, try not taking tires or something, because he could get hit with some sort of weird strategy call out of Sleesher or Commander Remy that puts them ahead of him, and passing's awful hard to do here. So I almost wonder if he wants to try and give himself a cushion against that. But then again, do you not want to overthink it? As a leader, do you just want to take your stuff and, you've managed to get this big of a lead once. You can probably catch right back up to anyone who does anything funny on it. So I think you certainly have to trust yourself as a leader. And Commander Remy right now is actually making his way through the field. He's actually getting up behind Sleesher now. He goes down the inside of Sleesher. He's actually going to take away the position. No. Wow, that was... He checked up there. I thought he had it, but he checked up a little bit more than I expected. He didn't quite get it off the corner. That's a really good race right now for a second. I hope the cameras are on that. I don't know what they're focusing on right now, honestly. But Sleesher's really trying to get down, and be in front of Commander Remy when they come down pit road.
Remy's got slightly less tires than Sleesher. Well, yeah.
Yeah, Remy had a half spin earlier in the run, I believe.
Yeah.
But I believe this is the first race where we haven't had anyone have a mechanical failure. Haven't had any engines blowing, haven't had any tires blow. And
I'm not too surprised about that. There's not too much draft going on, and draft is usually the main cause of engine blowouts.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a couple at Daytona because there's high draft there. But Las Vegas, there weren't any. At these short tracks, you're really not going to see any.
Now, I was told that tires blowing out would be a possibility. So far, everyone's done a good job of not doing that. So,
yeah.
Good job by the field. I believe that Shulk has pulled off the track, understandably. He was about 8,000 laps down, so that's unfortunate for him. He ends his day last. Chris Paul now with a 4.5 second lead on Sleesher. That's a whole straightaway. And he's just got to come down pit road when he wants to. He's got 300 fuel left. He can probably make it about maybe 12 more laps on that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Taker, what are your reflections on this race? Just from a driver's perspective.
From my perspective here, this is, a very good race here at Loudon. Most of the time it's caution field when the pack's backed up. But we didn't have that here today. We have a long green flag run, and then you see the skill of, okay, who can save their tires the best? Who can get out front and just run the perfect line? So it's been definitely action-packed here today. If I was with the driver or if thinking of Chris Paul's mind here or his team, this is an excellent day so far and they just got to finish here. Everybody else, if I'm a spectator watching this, hey, this is one of the first Jackal races this season that has had a very, very long green flag run.
Exactly, and it's been a pure driver's track. We talked about that before the race. This is a very skill-based track. This is really a driver's race. It puts everything in the hands of the guy behind the wheel, and we've seen Chris Paul go head-to-head with some really good drivers today and beat them. And I think that's going to be a really big boost for him going into the rest of this, going up against Remy and Sleesher and having a win like that. Psychologically, I know how big that is. I remember beating Cone back in some brick leagues back when I was getting started. That's a huge boost to anybody, even if you're already really good. Because when you can show people that you can beat them, you're winning the psychological battle already there. And he's coming up on cruising now. I wonder when he is going to pit. That is going to be.
Not only that, like you were saying, XMS, a dominant force. Well, if you have a driver that beats XMS, it's like, I just beat, the guys with the targets on their back. Let's do it every week. But eventually, you keep doing it every week, XMS is going to say, hey, these guys have a target on their backs now. They've been beating us week in and week out. We need to, put more effort into practicing, learning the lines, learning what to do whenever the tires get worn, fuel strategy. They're going to try experimenting with different, sorts of things during practice and, as a team to try to get back out in the victory lane and try to get, the best finishes possible for, the manufacturer championship.
Blackstone Warden's coming down pit road, by the way, along with Commander Remy. They're both going to be pitting. No speeding out of either. Oh, Blackstone was he came in a little bit hot. Had to cook the brakes. It's going to be a bad pit entry for him. He was coming in hot, managed to get it slowed down, but he slowed down too much and lost some time. So he might actually lose something to that pit entry right there. That was not a great entry for him. He also backed it up too early in the corner. Chris Paul still staying out. And beating XMS is really, really, like, that's a good thing. Like, I can't even describe how big that is for a driver at this point this season, because XMS has been the talk of the town, you know? The notes, I get my notes before the races. I mean, Icky sends me a bunch of notes, things he wants me to talk about. 90% of it's XMS as the baseball nerd spins around in front of Chris Paul. Oh, Chris Paul nearly gets involved. You're talking about creating your own luck earlier, and now he's going to come down pit road. Good time to do it. See, that's good thinking on your feet right there. That is thinking on your feet, making quick decisions right there. And that's the kind of stuff that you see out of race winners. Sleesher will take the lead. He is not yet pit. But Chris Paul right there, that's impressive right there what he did. Having the wherewithal to know that you're already slowed down, it might as well chuck it down pit road now after avoiding that crash. That is.
It was a little struggle. He overshot his box a little bit. That's still a little bit of time he made up. But yeah, when he realized.
Sleesher's around. There's a wreck.
Oh.
And now he's got to have the wherewithal. Oh no, he tried to get down. Kreisum shoved him back into the wall, though he's not able to pit. Some drama for the top drivers right now. And that was, again, Baseball Freak spinning in front of the leaders. He probably feels terrible right now, honestly. I mean, he's on old tires just trying to stay out. But
yeah. Commander Remy coming back down pit road again. Never mind. That was Trainwreck. They have the same scheme, sort of. One's just more blue. My bad.
I was going to say...
I thought he had a speeding penalty. I thought he had a speeding penalty.
I was scared, too. I was scared for Remy there.
I was, too. I was like, oh, no, there goes Remy's shot. But
yeah. Thank goodness he did not do that. Sleesher's staying out. I don't know about that. He's going to have to pit this lap. You don't have enough to make it around 2 more times.
Chris Paul definitely, with the strategy here, did not take tires, just fuel. So we'll have to see if he can, hold the car down for the last.
I mean, I feel like he probably feels like he has to because of the way that he had to enter the pits, avoiding the wreck, lost a lot of time, overshot his box when he got in. I mean, he probably just felt that was the only way to stay out in front. Sleesher comes down pit road, no issues on entry, no speeding, I don't believe.
If I was Sleesher, I would have to, focus on trying to get, no tires as well. Try to keep that, momentum up.
And I'm sure he's got guys that are in his ear right now telling him, I mean, those XMS guys, they are professional. They share information with each other. They are smart. And we're going to see where he cycles out. He's going to be behind Chris Paul, but by how much is going to be the question. He does not take tires. He also doesn't take that much fuel load compared to Chris Paul. Chris has a lot more fuel than Sleesher. But Chris is going to hold the lead. And that was a very frantic pit cycle right there. Sleesher's got slightly better or slightly worse tires than Chris Paul too. I don't know why he didn't take tires.
At this point, it's all about positioning. So he's praying. When he was leading out front, he was praying for a caution. It never came. And we have another car in front. Once again, Baseball Freak spinning in front of the leader.
He's just having a rough day. I don't think that was Baseball Freak. He's actually in turns 3 and 4 right now.
Let's see. Who's that? No, it was actually 2K.
Yeah.
2K, and now AK Isaiah in front of him. Chris Paul has some lap traffic to get around.
Yeah, he's got a lot of lap traffic now. A hard time getting around. They do clear for him. But he lost a lot of time with that lap traffic. We're going to see how much he lost. Lost about a half second to it. He's going to have more lap traffic coming up here. I don't know if he's actually going to catch up to wide receiver. But, I mean, that lap traffic certainly slowed him down. And now, got far around. It's AK Isaiah.
Will that be enough to bring it out? It will not.
It will not. I don't think so. Yeah, he's able to get it back straightened. I think you have to have 2 cars that ain't straightening that to bring it out here.
It's either 2 cars or it has to be right in front of a huge pack of cars coming to impact it. So I think that was it. The only car was coming with Sleesher.
Yeah, and now Chris Paul's lead getting chipped into a little bit more. And Sleesher's probably just pushing right now. He's trying to do all he can to try and catch up. I don't know if he's going to be able to. I mean, he is so far back.
if I was Sleesher now, it's go time. I'm gonna have to push and make, do the best I can. Now, if I'm in Chris's shoes, I know Sleesher's gonna be pushing, trying to get up to me, save those tires, because by the time he gets to me, I'm gonna have enough tire to hold him off and just blow by him again, and you'll watch that lead, get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Cristobal Paul now, for him, this is nervous right now because you're on old tires. The car's skittish as all get out. You've already had some half spins. You've seen a lot of guys self-spinning. And right now, the one thing he needs to do is not do that. He needs to not back it into the wall. He needs to keep that thing hooked into the groove, not getting out of it, not losing any time. And, I mean, if he can just hold – he doesn't have to even be fast right now. He just has to be okay. He has to be adequate to hold off Sleesher. Sleesher's 4 seconds back, losing time right now. I think Sleesher's tires are completely shot. Remy's 10 seconds back due to the pit cycle abomination that occurred.
Yep.
But for Cristobal Paul right now, it's going to be 10 to go at the line. This is going to be a big win for him early in this season, and it's going to mean a lot for the points.
Well, I mean, only 11 laps to go. I mean,
10 at the line now.
Yeah, sorry.
As Baseball Freak comes down pit road again.
Anything can happen, though. We can still have that late race caution come out.
Mm-hmm. And that's what the leaders are definitely worrying about right now, or at least the leader. I think everyone else on the lead lap wants it.
Did we miss Baseball Freak getting a penalty?
I wouldn't be surprised if he just wants to come down pit road and stop embarrassing himself in front of the leaders. Blackstone Warden goes around. Oh, that not quite enough to bring it out, though. He didn't collect anybody. But that was... I mean, baseball's tires are completely shot,
Yeah, he didn't take anything when he went in just then.
I wonder if he got a drive-through for something. Might have had a drive-through for speeding on pit road. I was not told about that. I didn't get anything from race control, so... Can you tell either of you? Or no one knows?
No.
Guess we'll never know. I can ask after the race. But 2K Blue right now, I just want to talk about him a little bit. He is subbing for Good Square, and we were talking about how well he was doing. He was up in the top 5. Thanks to some miscues during the pit cycle, and now the fact that he is really low on fuel and tires, I don't think he's actually going to finish in the top 10. He might drop another spot. So that's not good for him at all. When you're subbing for the Good Square, you'd expect to do a little bit better, Mm-hmm. And that's mighty unfortunate for 2K Blue.
Oh, some spinning from Baseball Freak.
Again?
Yeah.
Car
went to the wall.
I mean, his tires are completely shot. I'm surprised he hasn't come down pit road and just pit yet. Just to get those tires changed, because that car is not driving good right now. It's all over the place. It's having a hard time getting it around the track. Yep. Right now, we've got a really good fight between Remy and 8K Isaiah. Unfortunately, 8K Isaiah is a lap car. So,
well,
and 8K Isaiah finally pounds the wall. Because Remy's trying to clear these lap cars, trying to catch up to Sleesher, man. Wow. I don't think he's going to be able to, but...
we saw
What?
We saw Baseball Freak on some pretty bad tires, but if you look at 8K Isaiah, 75%.
Yeah, that explains why he was not able to hold off Remy and stay on the... No, not really stay on the lead lap, but stay ahead of Remy, at least.
Yeah.
That car's wrecking loose. Same with Baseball Freak. Thing is, you spin once, you destroy your tires, and then you're going to spin again and keep destroying. I mean, Baseball Freak can barely make the corner right now with the way his tires are worn down. And Cristobal Paul now is just scooting away. He doesn't have to do anything. No management has to be done. He just can push that car, get away from any sort of calamities. He doesn't have any more lap traffic to worry about. Everybody who he's going to be lapping is pretty far ahead of him. And he's not going to get to them before the end of this race with 5 laps to go now. So Cristobal Paul really scooting away with it. I mean, he's had a really good day. I think he has the most laps led at this point, definitely.
Oh, yes. So there's an extra bonus point in his column for points today.
As for Sleesher, decent points today. I think he's going to be thinking after this race what he could have done differently. He's spinning right now. Good save. And that was scary. But I think Sleesher's going to be thinking after this race, what could I have done different? Like, this race was a race that he could have won. He had some mistakes. He had a self-spin that lost him 4 seconds. Or for that self-spin, right now he might be fighting for the lead. So
I'd still be pretty happy with a second-place finish.
I'd be happy. I think I'd be happy for my points, but I wouldn't be happy about not winning the race that I could have won. So he gets around 2K Blue there.
Coming to the line.
Cristobal Paul's going to have to be ecstatic after this one. He did everything. This is almost a perfect performance out of him.
Almost indeed, but there's still 3 laps to go. Anything can happen. Let's hope that we don't get a caution here. And as we say it, Sleesher spins it.
Yep,
Oh,
Sleesher.
Oh, Remy.
That's 2 of the Extreme Motorsports cars. They all keep it straight afterwards, though.
3 Extreme Motorsports cars.
Yeah, that was 3 of them. We got in the lap car as well there. One of them. It's 2K Blue. That was nearly a caution, which would have really... That would have hurt Chris Paul if the guys he was going to have to hold off on the restart were the cause of it. But now they are way back. They're 10 seconds back. Chris Paul doesn't even have to push anymore, and he knows it. I mean, you look at his throttle inputs, he is just coasting into the corner here. He just lets the car...
Blue is coming into the pits on the second to last lap.
Now, I do want to say, though, if I'm Chris here, I'd be full throttle trying to get to that line. That way, you know, if caution were to come out, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, white flag in the air. So now he's really safe. As long as he doesn't self-spin, he is good. And even if he does that, he's got a big cushion.
Yeah.
No lap traffic to worry about. He's had a really good day. I mean, he's just raced his heart out today. I mean, he's done everything he needed to do.
I just want to say the commentator's curse definitely did not affect Chris Paul today.
Didn't hit Chris. It hit everyone else, but he seems to be immune. We're going to have to find out what kind of voodoo he's done. So he comes off turn 4. Chris Paul drives the number 4 Menards car to victory lane here at Loudon.
And as we're coming up to the line, Remy and Sleesher battling, coming down to it. Commander Remy will steal it away from Sleesher.
That was close. That was wow.
Blackstone will take 4th, and Trainwreck will take 5th.
That's as close to a dead heat as you'll get at Loudon. Those guys were so tight there. And we're going to see Joel Musa come away with 6th place finish. Pretty good for him. Trainwreck gets up in the top 5. We talked about him during the race as someone who may have fallen off, but he managed to get his way back up through the field, made some good pit strategy calls, had some good racing, and now he's up in the top 5.
Battle back to the top 5, won it at Vegas last week, and another good showing here today.
He definitely did a save today. I mean, he had those 2 spins, and he did a great job of getting up back. I mean, as for everyone else, I mean, there's some surprising finishes. I caught Rona has a pretty mediocre performance, finishing 9th. 2K Blue and 8K Isaiah. Bad day for guys with K in there. And Shulk finishes about 80 laps down, so unfortunate for him. But yeah, that was a good race, y'all. That was certainly something. Any reflections on that besides, wow, Blackstone Warden's really good? Or sorry, Chris Paul. Blackstone Warden finished like P8. But yeah, anything about this race that y'all want to talk about, or just
definitely say compared to Las Vegas, we definitely got a better showing of what these drivers can do. We definitely saw skill involved here today. Pit strategy came into it, tire saving, we saw it all. You know, those who could actually keep the car underneath them and not spin it out, you know, like Chris Paul here did today. He had the least amount of mistakes. He came out on top. So it definitely came down to driver skill, and whoever had the least amount of mistakes won a hell of a race.
Yeah, I mean, today's race, Loudon is one of those tracks that really is a good barometer of driver skill, you know, because it is a track where, as I said about 8,000 times during the broadcast, and I'll say it 8,000 times during the next broadcast I do at Loudon, it is a track where it is incredibly easy to lose time and so dang hard to gain it. I mean, it's just a track that really shows how good you are at minimizing mistakes. As Blackstone Warden does a hell of a burnout here. He's snaking, going all over the place. And we're going to try and get him for an interview. Real quick. Try and pull his arse in. But, yeah, really good race there, man. That was something. And I think that Loudon is definitely... They made a good choice, I think, by moving this race from Darlington to here. Y'all think?
I definitely believe so, because Darlington, you know, it's top-line dominant with how these drivers have been recently. You know, the nerves are there, the skills, you know, they're trying to get up front. So this track definitely calmed them down a little bit, mellowed out a lot of drivers. And it definitely, you know, put a dent into some people's egos, like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to be up front. And it dented some people's egos. It boosted the others. But definitely a better choice in Darlington, because Darlington, you requires much more skill and focus to run.
All right, we're gonna try and get Blackstone and Chris Baldpaw. We're gonna get Chris first, but we're gonna get Blackstone after that. So we're gonna get Chris in here. We're gonna pull him in without his consent. Hey, Chris, can you hear us? That's a great answer. We're gonna try and get Chris for an interview here. We're told to pull him in. We're gonna wait a moment for him to be able to speak if he does. But as we wait for Chris, guys, that was just a great showing out of him. I mean, for me, the most impressive part of that was the minimizing of mistakes at the end. That was just really impressive. Was the fact that he didn't spin at the end, kept out in front.
Yep.
See if he unmutes his mic. So, oh, he's suppressed? All right, hold up, let me, oh God, I can't actually unsuppress him. Icky, unsuppress this man. Unsuppress this man, we don't have that. Oh, he did. Hey, Chris, you're here. Good race out there, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Before I ask any of the tough questions, how's it feel to beat the XMS guys?
It feels really good. At Daytona, I thought I wouldn't have won in the season after I got practically wrecked by the 21, but it's all good. But I thought that was my only chance to win, but I won here.
Yeah. Does this give you some confidence going into the rest of the season? I mean, this is a skill track. This is a track where driver skill is really at the forefront. Do you think that your result here really shows everyone that you are the real deal, that you have a chance to win a lot of races, and that you're a pretty solid driver, you know? So, like, just, like, tell me about, like, going into the season, how does this boost your feeling about it? Like, how you race?
It boosts me a lot because I think I could do good at Atlanta, Richmond, Chicagoland, all the intermediates. I'm still questionable about Watkins Glen, but anywhere else I feel pretty confident at.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you have championship hopes this season? Necessarily.
I think I do. Yeah.
Think you do?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. Anyone else got any questions? Roger, Taker?
Well, no, not really. Congrats on the win, though.
Yeah, congrats on the win, dude. That was a really good one. It was nice to watch you. We were nervous for you there at the end because you had that one half spin, and I thought you were going to lose it. That was a good save. It was like lap 119 or something like that. But that was good. That was scary for me.
Yeah.
A bit nervous about that, but good win, dude. And enjoy Victory Lane.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to get Sleesher in here now, and we're going to have Taker do that interview. So.
Hello.
All right. Taker, take it away. Taker it away.
Taker?
Taker? Well,
Okay, I'll do it then. Sleesher, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Really good.
Good.
I'll Taker's back. All right.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Started it for you.
Internet's there. Sleesher, great, unfortunate finish there. You definitely had the car. You definitely had a good run today, but you definitely had the car to win. Tell us some about the thoughts of, what all could have went better for the race.
I could have probably had a better pit stop on that last cycle. Could have probably gassed up half a second earlier out of my stall. Maybe gotten in there a bit better. But Chris deserved that win. He led more than half the race. That was great. And I want to thank Remy for being a good teammate and not just dumping me on the white flag for second.
No
How
doubt.
about that
I definitely saw you two were battling hard. And unfortunate today. You definitely had the fastest lap time out there. You definitely were the fastest guy. You just couldn't, keep the car underneath you. Is there anything you're going to be working on, trying to fix going into the next race of the season, trying to practice anything a little bit better than what Chris and what Remy and everybody else is doing out there on the track?
I think I'm doing pretty good. I just got to keep my top 5 streak. So far, I've finished in the top 5 every race. So I just want to keep that going. Maybe get in on consistency, not wins, per se.
I got one question for you about the finish of the race.
Yeah.
Coming to the checker flag there for second place, Did you think? I mean, he didn't dump you on the white flag, but did you think coming to the line that he's going to try and put you in the outside wall to slow you down or something like that? Because I mean,
I was
thought
thinking
honestly he was just going to door bang you until he got it.
I was thinking about putting him in the outside wall, but I decided not to. I decided to have a drag race, and if the line was maybe 10 feet farther, I would have had it.
Because I thought he was just going to turn down. It said outside, man, inside. I thought he was just going to turn down and like get some sort of Darlington, Kurt Busch, Ricky Craven finish, something like that. But I was really entertaining there. And going to the next race, you said you're going to work on some things. Do you think that you have a chance at the championship after this?
So far, yes, but things can change. Every race is different.
Yep.
I mean, the points are going to be. I think there's going to be like 3 guys who are really close to being the points leader after this race. It's going to be tight. It's all get out.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Well, congrats on second place. Shame you couldn't win it. Anything else you want to say?
You got third.
Third, sorry.
Thank you guys for commentating, man. You guys are great.
Yeah. Hey, thank you.
It's
Thank
enjoyable
you,
to watch
thank you.
afterwards.
Yeah, we try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to say I want to thank all my teammates for being clean, and if you have fresh tires and you go around them, they're just really good teammates.
Yep. All right, we're gonna bring in hold up, Remy now. Thanks, Sleisher. Thanks for the interview, and yeah. Roach, you do Remy, I guess.
Yep.
Sorry for interrupting you, Taker. I thought you were gonna ask the question and you didn't, so it's fine. All right.
Remy.
Got Remy in here. If we can unsuppress this man. Wait a
I
moment.
cannot. There we go. Remy, how you doing?
There we go.
So, coming off a second place just now, how does that feel? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. It was Sleisher and then someone else. We were basically just by ourselves. So I was on fresher tires, whereas Sleisher was on really, really old tires, 79%.
Mm-hmm. So other than not taking tires to catch up with Chris, what else do you think you could have done to maybe get to him and maybe take the lead away from him?
In the beginning, I was fighting with him a lot, but I don't think I could have done much. I wasn't really extremely proficient at this track. Chris was probably like maybe half a tenth to a tenth faster than me every single lap at this track. And I get really bad on older tires. I'm better on newer tires, but those don't last. Yeah, those don't last very long around here.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, congrats on second place. It was a great battle with your teammate Sleisher.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got any questions for him?
Oh yeah, I got one question about that. Do you figure coming to the end of the race there, that finish? Do you figure that? How do I say this in a way that doesn't make it seem like I'm trying to brood drama? Do you feel like if he wasn't your teammate, you would have just wiped him out for that?
Oh yeah, probably. If he wasn't my teammate, I probably, because on the second to last lap, I was at a position where I was gonna send him, but then I decided not to, and I would just wait. So if he was not my teammate, he would probably be dead right now.
Okay, well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Good finish out. It was a lot of fun watching you race. And no offense, the spins are really fun too. Yeah, you have a good time, Remy. Nice finish there, dude. And yeah, good luck next week.
Thank you very much.
Always nice having Remy on. He's a great interview, Remy. He's always got great things to say. You guys got anything else you want to wrap up with? I mean,
not really.
Definitely saw a lot of buffing and banging and beating here at Loudon. It was sort of like a short track in those turns. Everybody was buffing and banging, trying to get as much position as they could. Definitely fast paced. Longest green flag run we've had, Jackal, this season. So this race will definitely be hard at the top going into each race from now on. So look forward to seeing can they top the green flag run? Can they top it with better 3x4
And
action?
I love the beating and bang. That was great to see. I mean, my friend Tyler Mallon tells me that he thinks they think Loudon's a short track pretty much, even though it's not really short. It races like one, especially with how tight the corners are.
Yeah.
And it really showed itself today. It's like a longer Martinsville, and that's the way they race. And I certainly think going into the next race, there's going to be a lot of confidence for Blackstone Warden. I think the XMS guys are going to have to do a little bit of soul searching. Because right now they seem confident. But if this happens week in and week out, that they're getting beat by the Fords and the Chevys, it's going to be a bit tough because they have a lot of expectations placed on them pre-season. And you got to live up to those. Anything else you got to say, Taker?
I think it'll be it.
All right. And Roger? Well, I'll take that as a no. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm AJ Schleierbeck. That was Taker and Roger. Really fun working with y'all as always. And yeah, y'all have a good night. And we'll see you at the next race, which I believe is
Atlanta.
Yeah. I was trying to think. Intermediates. I get them all mixed up. All right. Well, thank y'all for watching. We'll see you on the Flippity Flop. Peace.